Welcome to More Than a Brand podcast, where we show you how to take your brand from basic to badass. I'm your host, Lindsay Trammell Jones, the WordPress Whisperer, the Olivia Pope of Web Design, and the owner of Fiercified Creative and Consulting. I invite you to sit back, grab your favorite glass of wine, and your note takers, because I'm dropping jewels all season long. Thanks for listening. Hello, and welcome back to More Than a Brand. I'm here with Dr. Monica Cox. She is a disruptor, a professional, an author, an educator. I could just go on and on about all the titles that Dr. Monica holds. But as we like to do on this show, Dr. Monica, who are you without all the titles?
First of all, thank you for having me. I would say I am a complex person. That's what I'll say about myself. Complex in that I have a lot going on, and I feel that I'm always trying to shift and figure out how to align my purpose with excitement and my passion and what's going on in life. And I'm very focused also on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So you can call me a social justice warrior, an equity warrior. There's always work to be done. So that's it. Complex and busy.
Complex and busy. So you said
Yes.
you've been focusing on your passion. What would you say your passion is? I know if people told me I go in for the kill, I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It varies. Unfortunately, it feels like it varies day by day, but equity for sure. I think that's the thing that I keep coming back to, no matter what context I'm in. I really care about policies being clear, rules being clear, people not being harmed by unjust practices and rules and laws. And that's what it is. That's what I am.
Equity. Would you say there was a point in your life that made you realize that your purpose was equity? Or was there something that happened that you was like, you know what, this is what I'm supposed to be doing? Like what the light bulb came on?
I don't think that there was a single incident. I think it was cumulative, and it's just part of my personality and how I approach the world, how I think about life. It's just my problem solving skills. I think that I'm always wanting to know the big picture, wanting to see all the pieces. And if something seems to be amiss, then that's when I push. So, no, it's just overall me, just my personality that let me then know later in life that what this was leading to was more of an equity focus.
Okay, your gut. I think I get like that sometimes too. A lot of stuff like my intuition, my gut just tells me like I need to fix this or
Mhm.
I need to do something about this thing, whether it's for you in the space of equity, for me, it's in the space of with being in the military, there's inequities there too, which we've talked about here and there in our different conversations, but your gut just tells you it isn't right. So what does it feel like for you when your mind is telling you you need Monica, get up?
Um, People have peace by being silent, and I feel that my peace comes from the knowing that I have to say something, knowing that something hasn't been said, but I have the mindset of what needs to be said in a situation. I cannot rest until I do my part, until I fill in those gaps and move forward, given the current system and also piecing together missing aspects of that system. It's the lack of rest.
Yeah. Like a rest.
Yes.
How do you, because this is something I struggle with. So when things are wrong or in disarray, and
Mhm.
you said like, because I don't sleep well. When something's on my mind, I'm waking up at 3:30 in the morning
Mhm.
trying to figure it out.
Right.
How do you come to peace, or do you ever come at peace to where I've done all I can do? I gotta let this go.
I'm better about that than I used to be.
Mhm.
And I was just listening to this song that I've been telling everyone about this week called Energy Budget by, I think her name is Tony Jones.
Okay.
And when you really think about how you only have so much energy and you have to budget that energy, that's more of a mindset for me. It comes back to, boundaries, but I cannot be the end all to certain people. And I think too, there are people who won't receive what I have to give. And if they can't receive or there's something else, and it's just like I'm spewing my seed on stony ground, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to engage in it. I just know there are some things I'm not meant to do, some battles I'm not meant to fight, and I
Mm-hmm.
have to be okay with that.
Choosing your battles. I think
Mhm.
that's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
For
Yes.
it is. It's hard to choose when you really care about either the people that it's affecting. I think it's really hard to choose your
Mhm.
battles. So you said it's always. So where are you from? I already know, but where are you from? Do you say
Alabama, Southeast.
Alabama? Do you think that your upbringing and growing up in the South led you to be more equity focused?
Of course. Alabama's that space. My parents were older, and so they grew up in the Jim Crow South, and they stayed there their entire lives, and so they've seen everything from
Mhm.
segregation to integration, the George Wallace times, etc. Selma, Montgomery bus boycott. So I think something about their being so close to that probably informed how I was brought up, and
Mhm.
the commitment that I have to justice and the understanding that I have of my rights
Yeah.
and demanding my rights in organizations.
One thing I admire about you is that like you said, you demand your rights,
Mhm.
but you are very educated. And when you do speak your mind, you say it in a way where people cannot negate your intelligence.
Oh, thank you.
If you don't know, Dr. Monica be on TikTok giving people the business.
You what? Okay. I'm so close to it. So I'm just like, this is just how I am. And it's that space. It's like being a professor. I say this, thank you, by the way, almost 20 years. It's a way, you kind of
Mhm.
carry it like a cloak. And
Yeah.
so thank you. Thank you.
You do. I think that's why it resonates with so many people is because you do it in a way where you're like, this person knows what she's talking about. This person is educated, but she is authoritative, but not in a way where you get angry black woman.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
in a way where it's like she knows what she wants and she knows that she's telling us unsugarcoated, straight, no chaser.
I'm that I was a mathematician, so that was my undergraduate degree. But
Hmm.
then I also love like logic and
Hmm.
something about being able to craft that. And I'm a researcher, so you're crafting the arguments that stand and say, this is what leads to it. This is my evidence. Here are my claims. Here are my
Hmm.
assertions. And I'm going to put this before you, given the data and all these things. So now you make your own conclusion, but I'm going to show you why it's this way. Yeah.
That is a great trait to have. I was just this morning putting together Manning because I don't think across the world. Oh, I'll say across America, there's not enough people to do the jobs that need to be done.
Mhm.
So we don't have enough people to do the job that needs to be done. So I was gathering all the policies, all the doctrine, all the graphs, putting it in the graphical form, putting it in spreadsheet form to package it up and send off. This is where we're at
Mhm.
and this is what's going to happen if you don't do something about it. And I had to make peace with myself by lunch by the time I sent it. Like I've done my piece. I've done my part. I don't have to get up at 3:30 tomorrow morning. Go to bed, girl. But you've done your part. You put it all together. Now it's up to those that make the decisions, especially if you're not the one that makes the decision to either you take it or you leave it. And I think that's the hardest part because, as you said, people have to be willing to accept. And when they're not, I told you got to do the I told you, but I told y'all it was gonna happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what's happening now.
Would you say, I say to you, would you say that you being a professor is a way for you to influence the future? The future of is that why you chose being professor?
I would say I loved research first, to be honest. Even though we usually have like 3 areas that we focus on, is the teaching, the research, and the service. A lot of people in the public see the teaching part. Like, okay, we engage with our students and let's get this together. I really love the knowledge production, the knowledge just dissemination of it. I think that's really important. So that was my motivation. It is that space and actually building upon what has happened in the past so that we can create new things in the future.
Hey, if you are enjoying our show, please hit that subscribe button or hop on over to LinkedIn and follow me at Lindsay Tramel Jones, Brand Identity Designer. That's where I share tips, more insight on branding, and why it's so important as a DEI organization to ensure that your brand is up to par. Okay, that's it. Enjoy the rest of the episode. So in the past, would you say 10-year-old Dr. Monica is proud of who you are today?
Of course. But I thought that I was going to maybe be a biochemist. At one point, I always said I was going to be a biochemist, but that kind of went out the window. I thought I was going to be a politician. I wanted to be governor of Alabama. I'm going to be a politician. And so I think, yes, you would be proud, but also wonder why I chose the path I did when I had so many other dreams and thoughts. And I also wanted to be like an attorney at one point. So this path could have been very different depending on which lane I chose.
With all the lanes that you just mentioned, I would think that they can have the similar purposes as far as fighting for equity. You could do it as a lawyer, you could have did it as a governor. You definitely could be the person making the decision to better the state of Alabama, because Alabama is one of those states where, especially for Black people, so I'm not going there. Or that in Mississippi and South Carolina. I'm from North Carolina. South Carolina is right beside it, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to cross that border. So I would say if 10-year-old Monica would have decided to be a governor, you would have been making those changes, similar to the changes in the spotlight you were shining on the inequities and of diversity, equity, inclusion that you're doing now. And you're an author, so let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about these books. Creative Dr. Monica.
Yes. It's a lot.
So tell us a little bit about the Legacy series.
Yeah. So Legacy was birthed from a partnership with 3 other professors. We talked about academia and how it was for us. And we said, wouldn't it be cool to have a creative outlet to actually present this information? So one of my colleagues thought about writing books, and we just started learning, started learning how to write books. Yes, I just wrote and wrote. And there was a character I created named Miranda Childs, and her story just started coming out. There were certain points that I wanted her to exhibit, and she was going to be a professor, but also an entrepreneur, things that I both know very well. And it was set in places that I was familiar with. So she's from Alabama. Her eventual love interest is from Columbus, Ohio, which is where I live. And it was just bringing fact, real life, fiction, all this together to tell a really cool story. A couple of stories, because there's also a sequel to that. And then there will be another one.
Okay. And caveat to let people know, Miranda is not Dr. Monica.
People ask me that all the time.
Yes.
And I would say elements that are very much like me. But no, those people are not real.
So read it. Don't start judging. I read parts of it. My
Okay.
mom has read all of it, and she's reading the second one.
Yes.
So she likes that Miranda is not the model-less type body figure. She's more full-figured. She's smart. She's what a average woman looks like, not the social media, whatever they do to the photoshopped people. She
Absolutely. And that's one thing I can
is.
say about writing, like romance, love stories, etc. It really is for, as if people say, like the female gaze a little bit more. The men are the ones who are a certain type, and we're going to make them like the models, the ideals. And then the women are like very relatable and everyday with their thoughts and how they move. And it's just, what does this look like? So you have to keep like the spark there for the men, I think, because that's what a lot of the readers like, and give them relatable content.
As your journey as a author, because you've already written 2 of the Legacy series, and have you written a 3rd one already?
The third one's coming out June 7th. Not the legacy, it's a standalone.
Deadline.
It's a new one. Yes.
Has it taught you anything about yourself?
Of course. I was just talking to my grad student this morning about writing because there's, of course, academic writing, blogging, etc. And I said, I realized that I am what they would call in fiction a plantser, which is I'm really good at plotting, but then I need to let my characters speak to me. I think there's beauty in that. I've learned my process to write quickly is to just get a lot of things out. That's one side of my brain, but then the editing part is another side of my brain. And so even as an engineer, so often it just feels like the technical part is on all the time, but I have to separate like the really creative out there part and not shut it down and then know when I'm moving into more of my researchy part. So, but being able to name it in writing has been very powerful for me.
Okay. Would you say that you're being a fiction writer now is helping you as a professor?
I would say so. I think I'm still very close to it. Let me think. Yeah, I don't think I take things as seriously, which is funny. It's also given me confidence in a really different way. I was a presidential award winning researcher and I've done all these things. But to be able to transfer my skills, whenever you have a PhD, that's one of the things that's very interesting. I get nerdy for just a little bit because this is an area that I've done research in. Like the PhD is a very specialized degree. It's more of a depth degree instead of a breadth degree. When you find someone who maybe works at an institution, they will have a specialization that is extremely targeted. Somebody can say they work on microchips, but microchips for a particular context, like the aerospace industry or for something. And they're the expert at that. But what I have tried to do as someone with a PhD is to demonstrate a lot of breadth as well. And so it's people used to call it like the T-shaped person. And so I feel that is what I bring. I show people how you can become an entrepreneur. You can write novels, look very broad, and apply to people outside your field. But when I am in my zone doing my research, I'm also like very specific and very tailored and like the expert in a particular area. So to be able to go out and down all the time and shift quickly is a really interesting and powerful skill. So,
Go girl.
thank you.
Go girl. All right, Dr. Monica. So, closing remarks, any last words that you would like people to know that are becoming more than a brand, more than a professor, more than just the author? What words of wisdom would you give them?
As a PhD holder, many people say that's a terminal degree, and it is. It is supposed to be like the degree you get. But I think that it's important to always be a lifelong learner. I've learned so much from you working with me with CTO things for my brand. I have learned so much from my novelists, from my writing communities, from my editors, from book developers, from everyone who continues to teach me that there is so much to learn. And I think as long as you're open to that and you see it as like you never arrive, then that's when you can continue to grow. And it's just important in business and life and everywhere.
Oh, so where can they find you on socials? I know you're on TikTok. What's your TikTok handle? And Twitter, you be lighting
Yeah.
up the Twitter streets or X.
At Dr. Monica Cox, that's Dr. Monica Cox, MonicaCox. And I'm author Monica Cox as well for some of my book things. But yeah, you're going to get a variety of a lot of stuff, opinions, quotes, books, everything that's out there.
All right, you guys, thank you for listening to More Than a Brand, and we'll be back with the next episode next week. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Remember, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with the new upcoming episodes. And if you want to, find us on social media at fiercified.agency on Instagram or find us on Facebook at Fiercified Creative and Consultant. Send me a DM. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear your input.